Manual transmissions are fun as heck, boy. But just because your car doesn't have a stick doesn't mean that it's not sick. So today we're going to talk about 13 great, dare I say, legendary cars that surprisingly never came with a stick. Prepare thy loins and give your left leg a rest. This is D-List.
Thank you again to our good friends at eBay Motors for sponsoring another episode of the D-List. I'm really stoked to be working with these guys. Listen, I know you're like us here at Donut, and you have a car or a truck just sitting around that you don't use. Jeremiah, Zach Job.
Yeah, we all have a little bit of a problem with the amount of cars we own.
It's time for us to do something about it. eBay Motors makes it super easy to list and sell a car directly from your freaking phone. You guys are on your phone all the time. You're probably on your phone right now and the toilet. All you gotta do is download the eBay Motors app, enter your VIN, the information populates, and bing, bang, boom, your car is listed to sell. You can start taking bids. Selling your car doesn't have to be hard or expensive. eBay Motors offers 3 packages for sellers starting at $25. That's it. No other fees. But James, why wouldn't I sell it on Craigslist? Facebook Marketplace is free. Because eBay has all the tools that you'll need to make your transaction simple. So let's ditch these sketchy back alley transactions and list some of these cars that you aren't driving. I need more cars to look through on eBay, so just do it. Click the link in the description below, go download the eBay Motors app. It lets them know that we're doing a good job, and sell your freaking car today so you can go get a new one.
Dodge Demon.
We're starting this list with the Demon. Heck yeah, we are. We're crazy, man. This motherfudger was the world's fastest production car back in 2017, going 0 to 60 in a microscopic 2.3 seconds. This is 2.3 seconds. There, we just went to 60. The Demon was loaded with a supercharged 6.2 liter Hemi V8 capable of an absolutely ridiculous 840 horsepower. This thing had more ponies than Olympic dressage. Dressage, it's horse dancing. All right, read a book. So why didn't it come with a manual transmission? Because this bat out of hell was designed for drag racing. Literally, the creators were trying to make a street legal drag car. That's what they said. Nolan and I talked to them on the phone. It was a big deal for Nolan. I took a picture and I sent it to his dad. And if you want consistent acceleration times, you need an automatic transmission. Back in the day, a clutch was the only option for serious racers because automatic transmissions were slower than human shifting. But these days, we got a little thing that I like to call science. And among other cool inventions like Go-Gurt and Post Malone, scientists have created transmissions that can shift better than humans, no matter how fast the human thinks they can shift. If you want to know more about the Demon, I made a couple of videos about driving them. And despite its automatic transmission, it is an insane vehicle that more than makes up for the lack of a third pedal. It's huge and it's fast. It's like a real world Millennium Falcon.
Or Crown Victoria.
The Crown Vic is no longer just the favored car of cab drivers and cops. These days, it's a bona fide enthusiast car, thanks to beautiful lunatics like Cletus McFarlane, who raced 21 nitrous-equipped Crown Vics just a couple months ago on pay-per-view. It's an amazing idea. I wish I bought a freaking racetrack. Alas, Ford never foresaw that this sweet land boat would have a second life with car fans. 90% of the Crown Vics ever made were originally sold to fleets, making it perhaps the most popular fleet vehicle. I say perhaps because we didn't Google it. I just used my gut Google. Ford left it outfitted with a standard 4-speed automatic transmission for its entire production history. Honestly, it's really just too bad because the Crown Vic would have been pretty fun with one of those Borg-Warner T5 sticks that Ford was dropping into the Mustang at the time. Just imagine if they came with a gearbox to max out every ounce of horsepower and grip. Dang, dude, I'm getting heated just thinking about it. Why didn't you put a freaking manual in it? I guess you might say I have a fleet fetish.
Nissan GT-R R35.
Now, y'all knew that this one was going to make the list. All right. The Nissan R35, grandfather Tony's record player. Back into 2007, everyone was waiting for the follow-up to the unstoppable R34. But when the R35 debuted, it was not equipped with a manual transmission, not with an automatic transmission, but with a rear-mounted dual-clutch gearbox, part of a powertrain built by 4 specially trained mechanics called Takumi craftsmen. That's right, just like the huge Turkish rug that Jesse bought on Etsy, this car is handcrafted with love. The dual clutch is a high performance transmission, generally way faster than human shifting. It's also tough to swap out for a stick since it's located in the rear of the car, a spot too small for a normal standard transmission. So it didn't make a lot of sense for Nissan to retrofit a manual gearbox, if they could even find one to handle the massive and continually massiver power the GT-R can generate. Most recently, all the way up to 565 horsepower straight out the gate. You pick it up at the dealership, that's how much power you got. Dual clutch is super fun, but nothing beats rolling through gears. Thus, the R35's bespoke transmission technology puts that baby boy on this list.
3rd gen Camaro with the 350.
1987 was an exciting year. Aretha Franklin became the first woman inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. A new television show called Full House put unknown thespian John Stamos on a rocket ship to the stars that is yet to slow down. And Chevrolet upgraded the 3rd gen Camaro with a 350 cubic inch engine, the biggest one in the car's 21-year history. Hey Camaro, happy 21st birthday. Here's a beer and a big old engine. But all was not well in the Camaro. Unlike the 3rd gen Camaro's lower trims, the 350 did not come with a manual transmission. In the immortal words of Tom the Two-Man Tanner, the 350 TPI is one of the best small block engines Chevy has ever produced. How could this happen? Especially when the smaller 305 TPI did come with a manual transmission and debuted that very same year in 1987. But it gets worse. The 3rd gen 350s never came with a stick. They never righted this wrong. Not in 1988, the year the World Health Organization began its mission to eradicate polio. Not in 1989, the year that Daniel Day-Lewis won his first Oscar. Not in 1990, the year East and West Germany reunited. Not in 1991, the year Gonna Make You Sweat by CNC Music Factory came out. And not even in 1992, the year that Selena Gomez was born. These are all true facts. So is the fact that this car should have come with a stick.
BMW 540i Touring.
I know what you're thinking. The BMW 540i Touring couldn't be bought with the manual transmission. It can't be true. Well, I'm very sorry to break it to you, but this car is on the list. And honestly, you probably should have figured that out without me even explaining. If it's on the list, it never came with a manual.
That's the whole point of this whole video.
BMW did make manual 540i's. BMW did make manual Tourings. BMW did make this weird tiny motorcycle, but BMW never put a manual transmission in a 540i Touring for the American market. Maybe it's because the company didn't sell many wagons to begin with. Why offer options on a car that isn't selling?
Because I want you to.
Heck, over in Germany, drivers could enjoy manual control over the biggest engine in the BMW 5 Series while still having plenty of storage for their German LARPing gear. But not here. Land of the free? Yeah, right. Why didn't we get this car in the menu?
Toyota Supra A90.
The Mark IV Supra is a legend among legends. A dream car for basically every 90s kid. The Supra's absolutely classic 2JZ engine was home to 325 horsepower and could be paired with a Toyota 5-speed or the German engineered Getrag 233. As one of the earliest 6 speeds available in the US, it was this transmission in particular was a huge reason for the Supra's popularity. And it's the same transmission available in the equally popular
Skyline GT-R.
Supra fans were understandably hyped when the A90 debuted in 2019, 21 years after the badge last appeared on the American market. And Toyota went to town making sure that this car lived up to the Supra name, partnering with BMW to put a signature straight 6 engine under the hood. So, considering that every previous Supra had the option for a handheld shifting apparatus, Toyota would surely give drivers that choice again, right? Wrong! Dead wrong, pal! Toyota didn't give the new Supra a manual option because they wanted to differentiate it from the Toyota 86 being built by the same engineering team. Like, as if they couldn't just look at them and tell the difference. They're like, oh, which one is that? Oh, let me go check the shifter. It's a Supra. It's like a veterinarian lifting up the back of your dog to see if she's a boy or a girl. And so, the A90 Supra has only been produced with a ZF 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, it is apparently one heck of an automatic transmission, but the Supra is part of car history, and historical accuracy is important. Gladiator would not have been a good movie if all the horses had automatic transmissions. That is a perfect analogy, and Gladiator is one of my favorite movies. This is Gladiator!
Buick Grand National.
Okay, I got a hypothetical question for you guys. What if a car looked like Darth Vader and drove like Anakin's pod racer? Boom! This one does! The Grand National is no doubt one of the coolest cars ever made. It debuted in 1983 after Buick won back-to-back cups on the NASCAR Grand National Series. You get it? Grand National Series? Got a car named Grand National. I don't get it. Yeah, just kidding, I do. By 1986, the Grand National had been juiced up to make 235 horsepower thanks to its iconic 3.8-liter turbocharged V6 engine. Now, it may not sound like much, but this was the 80s, and the Grand National was beating Corvettes off the line. Look how aerodynamic the Corvette looks. Okay? Now look at this square boy. Then, in 1987, Buick sent 547 Grand Nationals to McLaren. Yes, McLaren F1 McLaren. Just to see what would happen. What happened was the Grand National Experimental, aka the GMX, because it's not really experimental if you use the E. And it was the fastest US production car ever up until that point, conservatively rated for 276 horsepower. Sadly, the huge amount of torque relative to other cars of the time was a big reason that the Grand National never came with a manual transmission. The average 80s gearbox just couldn't handle all of that power. And it's a bummer because Darth Buick would have been really fun with a stick.
Subaru SVX.
Hey, speaking of Star Wars, the Subaru SVX looks like a friggin' spaceships. This underappreciated beaut was designed by Giorgetto Giugiaro, a legendary car designer who designed the undeniably beautiful Daewoo Lanos. In 1999, this guy was named Designer of the Century. Not Designer of the Year. Not Designer of the Decade. Not even the Designer of 99 years. A whole freaking century. Last guy to win that award was designing horses. After designing Alfa Romeos, Maseratis, the Volkswagen Scirocco, and, oh yeah, the DeLorean, he took another big swing with the SVX. Subaru told him, hey, Georgie, we're bored with crossovers. Can you design us a two-door coupe that straight up looks like a spaceship's? And he was like, I think I can handle it. Give me my pencils and pens and some markers. Also, some paper, and I assume some money as well. And they were like, are you okay? And he was like, I'm not really Giorgetto Giugiaro. He's my dad. Let me go get him. Dad! And that's how it actually happened. The awesome thing about the SVX is that today you can easily get one in good condition for under 10 grand, and it's a great little ride. Driving it feels like you're simultaneously in 1993 and 2193, and even though it never came with a manual transmission, you can pretty easily swap a 5-speed from a Subaru Legacy to make Giorgetto Giugiaro's baby your own. Also, it had a weird little window.
GMC Syclone / Typhoon.
Hey, remember that Buick Grand National I just talked about? It was like 2 cars ago. If you don't remember it, you should go to a doctor. Well, the GMC Syclone was pitched and developed by the same exact engineers, starting with the same exact engine, but this was not the same exact car because it was a truck. And before we go any further, I want to be very, very clear about something. The GMC Syclone is spelled Syclone. That's right, Cyclone with an S. And I swear, here and now, that will become the official spelling for all Cyclones as soon as the National Weather Service starts to return my calls. So let's tweet at the National Weather Service. Again, I haven't Googled it. I don't know if those guys are the ones who make this decision, and tell them to officially change the name Cyclone to Cyclone with an S. Sorry to get political. Back to the truck. This Mamma Jamma smoked a Ferrari 348 TS in the quarter mile thanks to all-wheel drive traction, and actually held the title of fastest accelerating vehicle of 1991. That's because it was loaded with 280 horsepower from that 4.3 liter turbo V6. But the Cyclone with an S's unique all-wheel drive setup divided torque 35% to the front wheels and 65% to the rear. And the only transmission GM had that could work with that setup was a 4-speed automatic. So neither the Cyclone with an S nor its SUV sibling, the Typhoon, which should have been spelt with an F, were ever built with a manual. But maybe it's just as well. I mean, if you've got a pickup truck that can beat a lottie, why trust the shifting to your weak, fleshy, flawed human hands?
Corvette C8.
The new Stingray, like Nolan, is much more than eye candy. It's like a pixie stick to the retina. And with a 6.2 liter naturally aspirated V8 that generates 495 horsepower, this thing is basically a Lamborghini machine with a big lump of skull in its lip. We just had one for a little while. I only drove it for a little bit. I drove it to the pharmacy to get my life-saving medications, and I got complimented so much. A bus driver was like, "Hey man, that's a really nice car." I really felt like people were proud of me. I really got this sense that they were like, "Good job, young man." And I had to explain to them I didn't own the car. I guess I didn't have to. I mean, I had to. Like I said, I'm not a liar. So this is the first mid-engine Corvette and the very first Vette without a manual option. Now, those two things are related. Because the engine is set up behind the driver, there isn't a lot of room for the transmission, and Chevy couldn't find a company willing to make them a custom transmission that was compact enough to work. Worst of all, we might never see a Corvette with a manual transmission again. Why? Well, according to lead engineer Taj Euchre, nobody buys manual transmissions. He even called manual transmissions a dying industry. That's a tad bit harsh, don't you think?
Literally any Mercedes.
Look up Mercedes on your sidekicks and your two-ways, and you'll find very few, if any, results for manual transmissions. The reason? Mercedes-Benz as a company just doesn't get much demand for stick shifts because they make luxury cars. Picture this, okay? You're rich, making $1 million a year, maybe 1.5 with bonuses or whatever. You work all day at your office on the computer buying and selling spreadsheets. I don't know what normal people do. And at the end of the day, you go down to the garage because you live in a penthouse or whatever, and you get into your brand new Sonderklasse, aka S-Class, it's German, which you bought with your bonus for selling the most spreadsheets. And all you want to do is drive to get some Grey Poupon, maybe some caviar or something, a steak, and you just want to rest those dogs that you call hands, not shift your own gears like some sort of peasant. So you let that primo German engineered 9G Tronic 9-speed automatic transmission do it for you. But here's the question, all right? Is that 9 gears as in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? Or is it 9 gears because it's German as in you will get no gears and you will like it? Either way, it ain't a stick shift. Good night.
Lexus LS400 and SC400.
The LS400 changed the game. That game being cars. Toyota spent 6 years developing this car as the very first model for a little brand that I like to call Lexus. $400 million went into the legendary 1UZ FE engine, a 4-liter V8 capable of 250 horsepower in a rear-wheel drive setup that rode so smoothly, Lexus famously advertised how it wouldn't spill a bunch of wine glasses stacked on the hood. You know, for when you need to bring wine to 40 of your friends at once. It was also insanely successful, outselling competing models from Mercedes, Buick, and Jaguar, and spawning the SC400 coupe. But by the mid-'80s, as automatic transmission technology improved, it was clear that stick shifts were largely becoming to be a thing of the past. So Lexus only developed their flagship sedan with an automatic in mind. Now, as part of the brand's launch, Lexus did release the smaller ES250. These are slept on. These are cool. The ES250 did come with a 5-speed manual, but the LS400 has still never come with stick shift for its entire history. Now, this is, I know you guys are, this is really unpredictable, but personally, I really wish it had come with a stick, because you can get an early LS400 in really good shape for less than $2,000, and a stick shift plus some safety enhancements would make this car the perfect drift missile. Not that I need a practice car, because I'm already a perfect driver.
Oh God.
Did I knock any down back there?
A few.
Pure lightning.
Yes, the Lightning. We bring up this truck a lot, and for good reason, because I honestly think it's perhaps one of the coolest vehicles of all time. In 1993, Ford modified an F-150 body and dropped in a 5.8 liter V8 to create a truck nearly as fast as the GMC Syclone, but unlike the Syclone, it could still haul 5,000 pounds, or 14 Nolans. The second gen Lightning came around in 1999 and was even gnarlier, cranked up to 360 horsepower, good for 0 to 60 in 5.2 seconds, and still able to tow a freaking Meteor or 2 freaking jet skis. Dude, boy, there's a fantasy for you, man. Freaking me and Max in my Lightning, matching jet skis. We don't even got our shirts on, man. We take them off at the house and hop in the Lightning, drive down to the marina. Max is so excited about the jet ski. He's just riding back there. He's crazy, man. But unfortunately, I'll be not shifting the gears myself, because Ford didn't make a gearbox that could handle that much power at the time. For both versions of the Lightning, they borrowed a 4-speed automatic from the F350. This truck was so buff that it had to borrow its bigger brother's transmission, kind of like I had to borrow my bigger brother's Tux for prom. But unfortunately, man, can you imagine one of these with a manual transmission just clutch kicking this bad boy? God, dude. I'm gonna go look at Lightnings on eBay Motors right after this. But one last thing, okay, guys, before I leave, just a little wisdom from Big Bro. A lot of enthusiasts like to drive stick shifts. Heck, I'm one of them, and some people don't. But here's the thing: who cares? It's time to end transmission shaming. New automatics are way higher performance than human shifting, so get over it and drive whatever you want. Just be nice to each other. It's fun. Don't, you got an automatic, you got an automatic. Man, just like, if the kid likes cars, he likes cars.
Oh, hello, it's me, James in front of the white wall again. I just want to remind you guys that eBay Motors sponsored this episode. They're a really cool company. They're really nice to us. They don't give us a lot of notes. And it would really help us keep working with them if you guys would just go download the app. And hey, if you have a car that you want to get rid of, this is a great way to do it. And if you do post your car for sale on eBay Motors, take a little screenshot of it, put it on Instagram, tag me in it, @JamesPumphrey, tag Donut in it, @DonutMedia. We want to see what you guys are selling. Maybe I'll make the mistake of buying it.
I love you.